Hi, everybody. Before you watch another great interview, please do us a favor. Help us out by subscribing. We'd really appreciate that. Now, let's get to that interview.
There we go.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. So excited today. I've got actor, director, content creator, Ben Giroux. So welcome, Ben.
What's up, man? Nice to see you. Great to be here.
Was the thumbs up because I got the name right?
Absolutely.
See, that's saying something, because before I do a podcast, I go over that opening spiel, and try to because I want to make sure I get the name right. Well, I've been practicing yours wrong.
It's important because, when you've got a silent X at the end of your name, things can get wonky, and they certainly have for my name.
That's what I need. I need a silent X at the end of wall. I can still pronounce it wall.
Yeah.
Just put an X at the end, but it looks cooler.
Throw like a dash over an L too, and maybe like the little 2 dot thing too. Really confuse people.
You gotta emphasize the first L
in the syllable. Yep.
So I guess the big question, on everybody's mind right now is, will we ever get more Stan the Tour Guide?
There's a character name I have not heard in a long time, nor has anyone asked me. You are referring to my 2 riveting episodes of The Bold and the Beautiful, shot probably in 2011, something like that.
Oh, see, there's a couple things with that. It's because of the name. Obviously, they don't hire anybody that is neither bold nor beautiful.
Yeah,
so congrats on that.
Well, thank you so much. I have to tell you, this is the first time I have ever discussed in any interview or podcast the fact that I was on 2 very bad episodes of The Bold and the Beautiful.
See, I brought that up because you've got all this just amazing content out there. You're so good at it. All your social media is just amazing. But what if you took your YouTube channel and you started recreating this Stan the Tour Guide character, but so you're just in character going to different locations?
I think you are really onto something there. I should have had the foresight to think of spin-off from this.
Yes. Wouldn't you love to? You got Stan in character working at a coffee shop or the drive-through, or maybe he's just like hanging out, or maybe he's like a school lunch person.
It's funny. I've done so many interesting characters over the years. I have not thought about playing Stan the Tour Guide on Bold and the Beautiful since I last did it, and you are the person that has reintroduced him back into my life. It is a deep cut.
So I'll get slightly more serious, but so let's talk here, Ben. Where or how did you get started in the entertainment business? How did you go about that? What made you want to become an entertainer?
Well, growing up in Phoenix, Arizona, I was always a ham in front of the home video camera, terrorizing my little sister with crazy characters and high-pitched voices. So I was sort of destined for it. Actually, comedy has always been sort of my driving force. There's a photo of me, my dad holding me up as a 6-month-old, and we're watching on a very old 80s television.
Console TV?
Yeah, oh yeah. The Three Stooges with probably Moe smashing an anvil over Curly's head, and I think I was sort of hooked on comedy ever since. So, it's just sort of been in my blood. I grew up in a very sort of colorful, cartoony household. My parents owned and operated a comic book store for decades in Phoenix,
I'm a former comic book store owner.
Oh my God, really?
That's how I put myself through college. I owned a store up through 96 when Marvel went bankrupt, and I was like, it's over. I got to get out. And then, of course, they came back bigger than ever. But
yeah, they owned a store called All About Books and Comics in Phoenix, Arizona for about 40 years. And the pandemic finally took down the brick and mortar version of it, but they're still doing well selling comics online. So yeah, I grew up in a very colorful, cartoony atmosphere, and I think that certainly influenced my interest in getting involved in entertainment. And like most sort of aspiring young actors, I went to theater school, I went to film school, I went to USC here in town. The first real TV gig I booked was while I was still in college. It was a Fairley Brothers show called Unhitched.
Yeah,
So yeah, my first TV gig was working with Peter and Bobby Farrelly,
not bad.
Dumb and Dumber and Something About Mary. And then it really just sort of went on from there. I in the early days of my career, I built out a pretty prolific resume of comedy roles in television. But I found that in that I wasn't satisfied just doing that. And so I really, in the early days of YouTube, started to, as you put it, create content. And that has been, I found that I had all these disparate things early on in my career, and they have all sort of synergized as of late, where they all sort of complement one another. And certainly that content creation I was doing on YouTube back in the early days of that platform, really it's sort of evolved into me pumping out TikTok content every day. For me as a commercial director and music video director, and certainly that comfort level behind the camera has informed, my ability to be on camera and behind the microphone.
That's so amazing. Yeah, I'm very impressed with your social media presence
Thank you.
because it's just because it's not easy, especially like the TikTok one. It's usually you get a little older, maybe not on TikTok. That's
Yeah.
a tougher one.
Well, it's been an interesting duality in my career in that I have a pretty young audience that follows me. At least one of
Yeah.
my audiences is because of all of the Nickelodeon and Disney stuff I've done over the years, and certainly now starring on Big Nate, I've been able to kind of leverage that audience. But yeah, in the early days of TikTok, it was a pretty young crowd. Now it's sort of everybody, but I was able to kind of really start to lean on some of the characters that I've played on Nickelodeon over the years as a way to sort of build up a TikTok audience in the early days of the pandemic. And that has now that sort of fun sandbox of creating content on TikTok has really developed into an integral part of my entertainment career. I'm getting directing opportunities because of my TikTok audience these days. I'm able to
Amazing.
promote my animated show directly to an audience that's going to watch it via my TikTok. So that can be incredibly helpful. I think the real lesson I took from TikTok is that it is really just about consistency and quantity. I post 2 things a day. Some of them are going to be better than the others, but it's really just about experimenting and seeing what works and building a fan base. Whereas in the early days of my YouTube content, I spent 2 years working on my Back to the 90s music video. It's a 4-minute video, 2 years. So every frame matters. So I've become a little less precious about the content that I'm putting online because, it's really just about building an engaged fan base and one that is forgiving of stuff that might be a little rougher around the edges.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so lots of stuff to unpack there.
Yeah.
So when you're watching Three Stooges, you said it was the 80s. I'm guessing because when cable first came around, late 70s, the only channels you got were like TBS and Chicago. Well, TBS, they were showing Three Stooges back then. So I'm guessing maybe that was where you were watching that.
Man, to be honest, I don't remember because I was 6 months old.
Yeah.
But I recall we used to have VHS tapes. We had like a whole collection of VHS tapes of Stooges stuff, and that was like our go-to. I
Oh,
grew up
there you go.
watching slapstick comedy. Laurel and Hardy was another big one. And
We've
then,
lost
like,
our slapstick.
yeah, and then like the classic, comedies. We watched I Love Lucy. We watched I Dream of Jeannie, Bewitched, Gilligan's Island. Like I used to love watching that stuff with my dad, and I think that sort of infused a love of silly comedy. As the sort of
Just
foundation
good
for everything I
parenting.
do. Yeah, good parenting, exactly.
Did you hang out in the comic book store on Wednesdays? Now I could have changed through years, but back when Wednesday was
New
new
comic
comics.
book day, man. New
Yeah.
comic book day. Yes, in fact, that obviously, as you know, was the busiest day of the week because that's when you would get people coming in wanting their new issues of New Comic Book Day. So yeah, I used to, help my dad at the store. I would sort comics. I would clean the counters. I would climb the back room shelves that seemed like they went on for eternity as a kid, and go find an issue of something in a box. So yeah, my most of my earliest childhood memories are, growing up in sort of a hot comic book store in the middle of the desert.
I love that. I was a fan before, but now, come on, fellow comic book person. That's pretty good. Did you have what was your comic growing up?
It's interesting. I appreciated the art first and foremost because I grew up doodling and drawing, which is
Yeah.
so full circle, which is, I'm voicing Nate on Big Nate now, and Nate doodles on the show. So we have that sort of similarity. But I used to see the artwork on the comics and want to draw the cover art. Um, gosh, in terms of the superheroes that I loved, I was a DC guy, so I loved, replicating any Superman covers, any Batman, but some Marvel stuff too. I used to enjoy Spider-Man covers, really anything. I just appreciated the artwork, a whole spectrum of artwork in the comics, and I'd like to try to, that's how I sort of improved my art skills as a kid was reflecting the comic book
Yeah.
art.
Yeah, that's amazing. So were the parents proud that you got to voice Robin in the Turtles versus Batman one?
Yeah, it's funny. We've had a lot of sort of interesting crossover over the years in the comic book world. Certainly, voicing the Damian Wayne version of Robin was super fun in Batman versus Teenage
Yeah.
Mutant Ninja Turtles. Obviously grew up in a comic book store, so there was a lot of great synergy there. Parents definitely were proud. Um, yeah, it's very full circle when you start to, in a weird way, kind of overlap with some of the stuff that you grew up around.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So was Back to the 90s, was that the first kind of content that you created that kind of blew up, that got really, those large number of views?
It's hard to say. Like in the early days of YouTube, I would take over and run big YouTube channels. So I ran like the FML channel, the Fail Blog
Yeah.
channel, the Fred channel, and that sort of got me used to working with brands and companies and larger entities and start to build my own audience of subscribers. But I will say that I was making stuff that I didn't really want to be making. And it wasn't until I started to acknowledge, hey, one of the projects I always wanted to get off the ground was a braggadocious music video, hip hop music video about being short. I'm a short guy. I've played a lot of
Me
short
too.
roles, and I wanted to. Wait, how tall are you?
5'9",
Yeah, man,
if
you're
I
giant. You're
stretch.
Colossus in my family. You're massive. 5'9" is a giant. I'm 5'2". Um, 5'9" is, yeah, I think that's over average height.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, so anyways,
I feel so much better now.
yeah, you should. You absolutely should, because our experience in life has been completely different, I guarantee you. So I wanted to make this music video, and I partnered up with a hip hop artist, my buddy Jensen Reed, and we made a music video called Little Dude Anthem. And it was just it felt like it brought my ability to produce high level content to a new level. We went pretty viral with it, and Jensen and I then kind of said, okay, well, this was supposed to be a one-off, but what else do we want to collaborate on? What else sort of speaks to us? And we both landed on nostalgia. I'm super nostalgic for the childhood growing up, watching the Stooges with my dad, growing up in Phoenix in the 90s in a comic book store. And so Jensen and I put this celebratory 90s music video together in 2017. Spent 2 years putting it together, and when we put it out, it went nuts. 100 million views, charted at number 11 on Billboard. We joined the Backstreet Boys in Las Vegas, and yeah, I would say that was the thing that really kind of ratcheted my online content up to a new level. But by no means was it like suddenly I decided to do that. It was really the product of many years of hard work of making stuff online that finally started to bring in an audience. And so one of the things I kept kind of having to battle with was we had a lot of views on this one video, but really didn't have the fan base or subscribers or follower count to back it up. And that's what was sort of a hindrance from there on, trying to get other projects off the ground. So that's where TikTok has really been a welcome new piece of my kind of online arsenal is that now that I've got the following to back up some of the views, it's really opened up a lot of new, cool, creative opportunities.
Yeah, that's pretty great. Yeah, I love the boy band angle in the video. Was that an NBA Jam?
Heck yeah, it was NBA Jam. Grew
So
up.
we've got one in the studio, the full
No.
arcade. Oh yeah, that when we opened the
Oh
studio, I
man.
was like, we're getting an NBA Jam.
Yeah, dude. That's honestly, if I ever had like a basement or a den, which there are not many of those in Los Angeles, I would get for sure. I would get an NBA Jam
Who's your
machine.
team on NBA Jam?
So I will tell you, you're speaking to one of the biggest NBA fans on the planet. I'm
Oh boy,
obsessed with NBA basketball. I'm in a very competitive fantasy basketball league with my buddies. So
nice.
look, I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, so I'm obviously a Phoenix Suns fan. They're doing amazingly well this year, the best team in the NBA. Hopefully, this is the year. We'll see.
They
Um,
got a great team this year.
Great team. I will say I sort of at living in Los Angeles, I kind of hate watch the Lakers because they're just there's so much drama that surrounds the team and it's very enjoyable to experience it, good or bad. So I enjoy watching the Lakers. I love the Knicks. I love one of my first acting jobs took place in the Boston Garden, so I've always sort of been a Celtics fan. I just love the league. But in
Yeah, yeah.
NBA Jam, man, I mean, probably the Suns, right? You had Barkley, uh,
Marley.
you had Marley, you had Kevin Johnson, I believe, back in the
Yeah,
day.
yeah, yeah,
I think in NBA Jam you could do Mark West, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah. I
Um,
think that's right.
on the Bulls, you could do Horace Grant, Pippen. I don't think Jordan was
No,
in
Jordan
NBA.
wasn't on there. Yeah, I
Um,
think for us, I think the version we have, it's let's see, it's I think it's BJ Armstrong.
yep, yep, yep. BJ
So I
Armstrong.
always played Golden State because you had Chris Mullins, Chris
Yeah,
Webber,
I did the Sonics
and
a lot too because you had Sean Kemp and
oh yeah,
Gary
Sean
Payton.
King. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Gary Payton, really good with the steals.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep, yep,
really
yep,
good with
yep.
the steals. Yeah, yeah.
Man,
We could do a whole podcast just on
I
that.
literally could do an entire conversation about basketball. I love basketball.
Yeah, well, you need to come back. We'll do that. We'll
Heck
do
yeah.
it. I'm a big. My main sport is baseball. Absolutely
Okay.
love basketball. Though my dad was a high school basketball coach.
Oh,
And
that's
so
awesome.
that's yeah. Love talking basketball. It's pretty great. And by the way, as good as the Back to the '90s, Back to the '80s was the one for me
Well, thank you. I
because
appreciate
that's
that.
my decade.
That was our sort of sequel video, and I really wanted to ratchet it up and try to, just do something even more insane. So we built like 50 custom sets for that music video, and it was just such a blast. We're actually now, we got a little slowed down because of the pandemic, but we are working on Back to the 2000s. I think the song is the best one yet. So we've been meeting on that 2 or 3 times
I
a
love
week.
that.
And yeah,
My
hopefully
kids,
sometime.
I've got 4 kids. They will go nuts because that's when they're growing up.
Yeah, I think sometime this calendar year we'll be able to get it done. So more news on that soon. But the song is sounding really good.
Oh, yeah, that's terrific. I love that. So did these videos, did that kind of lead to you opening up the production company, Small Red Cape?
Yeah, absolutely. So, what started as me looking for a creative outlet outside of
Yeah,
my television acting roles really started to form, certainly once we started finding an audience, a real production company. And so,
right.
yeah, so now we produce and I direct a lot of, TV pilots and commercials and music videos. We just did recently a Vanilla Ice branded music video, parody
Yes,
music videos, super fun.
hilarious.
Thank you. Anytime I get to combine comedy and music and maybe like some sort of 90s nostalgia, I'm in my wheelhouse. And so certainly working with Rob Vanilla Ice was a blast. And so yeah, it's been really great. I think early on in my career, I thought, well, I can't do anything outside of television acting because that will complicate my brand or it will in some way invalidate my acting efforts. Now I view it completely the opposite. I have so many hands in different pies, and I enjoy it. I think you have to add slashes to your business card as an
That's right.
entertainer in 2022. So I enjoy directing and producing just as much as I do, voicing an animated series and acting on television. I love it all.
Yeah, yeah. That was going to be my next question: is what you preferred. Did you prefer being behind the camera, or in front of the
You know,
camera, or I guess
it's in,
behind the camera but talking in front of the
yeah,
camera?
what's interesting is I think early on I was like, well, I'll only be an actor. That's the only thing I want to focus on. And I remember that first commercial I got to direct. It was a series of Discover Card things online. And I remember walking onto set that day going like, man, this is such a great opportunity, but am I going to be jealous of the actors? Because first and foremost, I'm an actor. I didn't know how I was going to feel. And I remember at the end of that shoot, it was probably a 3 or 4 day shoot. I had such a satisfying experience. It was such a different level of creative satisfaction that I hadn't felt in my career before. And it was a really, when you sort of surprise yourself. And I really enjoyed the surprise that I felt because I really authentically loved directing
Yeah.
just as much as I enjoy, acting. And so, yeah, I think it's the last time I really like fundamentally surprised myself. And I enjoy, you know, I enjoy it equally. I really do. I basically say this now. My level of satisfaction in my career comes from making cool stuff with my friends. That can come on camera, that can be behind camera, but I just want to be making comedy, creating funny situations, and doing it in whatever capacity I can with people I love.
Love it. I love that. Now, see, now I've got another idea for you. All right. So you're a comic book guy. You're on the shorter side,
I am.
right? How about a YouTube channel where you're Puck from Alpha Flight?
Perfect. Great. You know what's so funny?
Say,
It's like you do so many like short things over the years that like now it's sort of part of my brand, but I like focusing on other stuff now.
Puck rolls into the coffee shop.
That's true. That's
You
true.
know,
It's not bad. It's not a bad idea.
no, no. I can throw some ideas out there, but that's as far as it goes.
Perfect.
so so you're known for a lot of your work with Nickelodeon. So you did see Henry Danger and Danger Force both.
Yes, sir. So the last 10 years or so, it's crazy to say that I've been playing the Toddler in the
Very nice.
Nickelodeon Dangerverse, sort of the original villain, the main villain on
Yeah.
Henry Danger. The Toddlers appeared on 3 different Nickelodeon television shows now. We did a brief animated spinoff called The Adventures of Kid Danger. I'm doing Danger Force now, which is the spinoff series. It's been so much fun over the years because it's such a big, broad character.
Yeah.
He's an evil man baby. Speaking of short guy roles, and I'm a theater guy. I grew up on the stage, so it feels like theater on camera. Also, when you do a show for that long with the same people, a lot of them have become my dear friends. So anytime you go back to do an episode, it's just like going back to a strong fraternity of people that enjoy making funny stuff together. So certainly grateful there. It's also a real full circle moment for me. I grew up, watching Nickelodeon with my sister. On camera, I watched Keenan and Kel and all that. In terms of Nicktoons, I watched Doug and Rugrats and Ren and Stimpy. And so now to have been on Nickelodeon on camera for the last 10 years and to now be starring on the animated side of things just feels like a really full circle moment that I'm extremely grateful for.
Yeah, that's terrific. And what a great character. If you're gonna be on TV doing something for a decade, let's be a baby villain.
Let's be an evil man baby. Absolutely. Yeah, look, it's just so much fun and the character has kind of taken on new life on TikTok. I got 4.5 million kids who call themselves part of the Todd Squad. So it's just been a really, just a very cool experience, especially when I get to make. This has been such a difficult 2 years for all of us. If I'm able to sort of provide some levity and some laughter, especially to a young audience, then that's a really satisfying experience.
Yeah, that's pretty great. So the new show is Big Nate. So my son that helps with the podcast, he is also a librarian, and he
Ah,
says the Big Nate books very popular.
yeah, so there's certainly an added responsibility when you're doing the title character, when you're voicing the title character of a new show, when it's already a
Yeah,
successful franchise, right? So I have this responsibility to do justice to the successful comic strip and series of books that have been going on since the 90s, while at the same time inviting in a whole new a generation of hopefully Big Nate fans. So I think the team's done a really good job of that. Our episodes, our new episodes, are original storylines that you will not see in the comic strip
It's terrific.
or the books. But using all of the characters and all of the situations and all the relationships and the locations that people know and love. So, the analogy I'll give you is a house. The comic strip and the books are the foundation of the house, and now it's our duty doing the television show to add rooms and levels on top of that
Right.
house. And so, it's been a lot of fun. It's been such an interesting experience recording an animated show over the pandemic because none of us have ever been in the same room.
Yeah, that's challenging, I think, because you don't have anybody to play off of.
Well, and here's why our show is unique. Most animated shows now take place remotely from actors' own homes,
Yeah.
and they're patched in with just a voice director. Where ours differs, and why I think it really has made our show magical, is we still record as an ensemble via Zoom.
Nice. Yeah, very
So
nice.
we're able to hop on sometimes with as many as 12 different actors on a Zoom week to week. And where that becomes helpful, certainly with the responsibility of playing the lead role, is I get to react off of the other
Yeah.
actors. We get to riff with each other. We get to improvise. I give a lot of credit to our showrunner, Mitch Watson, who's a theater guy as well, and he really lets us dive into improv. And those little fun moments of comedy magic that you find between the lines are only possible when you're able to record as an ensemble. And I think you'll see that reflected in the end result of our show. So super grateful. We've found a way. Major kudos to everyone at Nickelodeon for, really tackling the technical hurdles, figuring out how to still record as an ensemble remotely.
Yeah, I think that's so great. So I watched the preview. Hilarious.
Thank you.
Really good. I mean, it's surprisingly adult friendly. It's pretty good.
One of the things I appreciate that. One of the things that really spoke to me as a kid that I subsequently enjoyed as an adult was those original Nicktoons, the Doug, the Rugrats, the Ren and Stimpies that I referenced. Those had an edge to the comedy, a real
Sure they
bite.
did.
Kids and adults could enjoy them the most. And I think that somewhere along the way in modern animation, things have maybe gotten a little too fast-paced and too glossy for kids. And I think what I love most about our show, Big Nate, is that it harkens back to the OG Nicktoons, where there is a real edge to the comedy. We adults are going to like this show just as much as kids, I think, because it's edgy, and I think that's what animation needs right now. I think kids can handle it. So we've got some really cool storylines that I think speak to all sorts of generations.
Yeah, pretty great. And the animation kind of reminded me of maybe like a Jimmy Neutron type of animation.
Yeah, but I would say a little grittier. I think the thing that's interesting about our show is that it's a CG 3D animated show, and most shows like that are lit fully and glossy and completely lit, and so there's just like this sort of sheen to it. Our show is lit practically, so you might light a scene with the sun shining through a window or a lamp on a table, and that allows you to see like the texture and character skin, and
that's really interesting.
The characters on the show go to PS38, which is an underfunded public school, and it's kind of grimy. And so I think that style of kind of messy animation really lends itself to just sort of the grimy nature of the school that they go to, and it gives a little level of sophistication to the look.
Yeah, a little more realistic too, I think. Yeah, really good. So Big Nate comes out February the 17th, I believe.
That's correct. Comes out February the 17th. Our first 8 episodes drop on Paramount Plus. We've done plenty more episodes that'll be dropping at a future date. But I think people are really going to like it. I think it does service to the source material, but really brings it to a new level.
Yeah, love that. Love that. I should have mentioned too, you have also voiced Jimmy Olsen.
That's right.
On the Superhero Girls.
Yeah, DC Superhero Girls. I've sort of, many people don't know that the voice of Robin is also the voice of Jimmy Olsen.
Really? Very nice. Well, I guess that's true. You did Damian Wayne, so yeah.
That's right.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I'll take it, man. Another superhero thing in my life.
Well, once you're in with DC or Marvel, they're just going to keep calling.
You're in. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. At some point, they're going to be like, can you do a Batman?
I'll take it. Where is she? Where is she?
So we've watched you actual in front of the camera, several different shows that you showed up on. My son said to make sure that I mentioned that he enjoyed you on Psych.
Oh, well, thank you. Yes, that
Yeah.
was shot that a long time ago. In fact, let's see, that was 2007, I think. That was season, God, I want to say that was like season 2 of Psych. It was a
Well, he
million
would
years ago.
know.
Yeah, I played Jimmy Nicholas, the sort of high school bully of Sean and Gus on the show. In fact, they've done a lot of Psych movies since, and I keep kind of like chiming in, going like, "Hey guys, you want to bring back Jimmy Nicholas?"
Yeah, let's bring
Um,
him. Let's bring back Jimmy.
hey, that's what I'm saying. But that was a lot of fun. I loved that show.
Yeah, such a great show. We always play this game with the family. When I have a guest on, I go around. I'm like, where have you seen this person with that? So my wife said that you did at least a few episodes of Heart of Dixie.
Yeah, actually, I did most of season 3 and season 4 of that show.
Yeah.
I just sort of kept coming back as little Zach Drucker. I was like the town bully. Got myself into plenty of bar fights. Um, that was a lot of fun. I love that show. In fact, they used to like dirty my fingernails and stuff. You know, they would like rub dirt all over my hands and stuff because Zach was not the kind of guy that would bathe very often, and I actually was running a lot of obstacle course races at the time. I run Spartan race obstacle course races, and I
Oh
remember
wow.
I had just done an obstacle course race, and I was all bruised and kind of dirty from it. And I show up on set, and they did not have to add any bruising or dirt or anything to my body that day because
I'll take care of it. Don't worry
I
about
came with it. Yeah, I covered it.
it. Oh shoot, that's really good. That's really good. Do you have a role that you've done in front of the camera that's your favorite?
Oh man, that's a great question. I was really enjoying playing Coach Fenner on the Big show on Netflix right before the
Yeah.
pandemic. I got to act off
We
of.
enjoyed you as
Oh, thank you.
and admittedly we watched it for the Big Show because when my
Well,
son
and
was younger, he was such a big Big Show fan. But
yeah,
yeah, you were really good as the
Big Show's
coach.
awesome, man. He's a really nice guy, Paul. We just had a lot of fun. And look, I'm a obviously the joke was I'm a pretty small guy and he is not.
That's right.
And so the
Right.
size difference really played out in a handful of those episodes. It was very funny. It's just a great vibe. It's a great group of people shot on the Paramount lot, which always sort of feels historic. Um, we're bummed. I think COVID probably eliminated the chance for us to have a couple subsequent seasons of that show, but
Yeah.
really enjoyed the people on that show. Really enjoyed working with Paul. And it was a fun character. Coach Fenner was such an idiot. He played the the high school gym teacher of Paul's daughter, but he also, he was like the driving instructor in town. He kind of did it all. I've played a handful of those characters. So they start him as one job, and then it's like, well, let's just give this job in town to this character and see how dumb we can make him.
Yeah, and it was good. It's funny. Yeah, we were
Thanks.
disappointed that we hadn't seen more seasons. We thought it was a really good show.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good. So my oldest says, and she would know, I would not, but she said that you've been in several Christmas movies.
Yes, I have. During the holidays, if you turn on, Hallmark or Lifetime,
Yeah,
you may very well see me pop up on your screen. There's been
yeah.
quite a
Well, that's
few
what
of
she
those.
said. She said I could probably name them if you gave me time because that's her thing is the Christmas movies. But she said he definitely been on some.
I've appeared in plenty of those.
That's pretty good. And I know you did Sydney to the Max. And what was the Love Robots or
Oh, Love,
something?
Death, and Robots. Yeah, so I've
Love,
done
Death, and Robots.
plenty of Disney shows for sure. Best Friends Whenever, Coop and Candy
Yes,
Against the
yes, yeah. It was
World,
another one.
Mighty Med. Yeah, so that's all on the Disney side. In terms of Love, Death, and Robots, though, that's a great voiceover role. That show, Emmy-winning, great anthology series. I
Yeah,
was
really
really
good.
privileged to be a part of that. Recorded that sort of at the beginning of the pandemic. Really enjoyed that full series just as a viewer too. It was really fun to watch the whole thing. So, yeah, I'm very grateful to have a very diverse career in both animation and on camera. Feel very lucky for it.
It's been pretty good. I forgot to ask you about Big Nate. Is that you singing the
It
theme song?
is. Yeah, yes. So there's lots of music that they've included in the show. It's funny in the books and the comic strip, Nate actually is a terrible singer. But I think when they found out, like, hey, this guy makes like Billboard charting music videos, maybe we should have him actually sing on the show. So it's been a lot of fun. We sing a lot on it. There's a lot of really good original music on the show. And then the songs that are not original, we use a lot of nostalgic, like 80s and 90s music on the show
Yeah,
from like a library of stuff. So
nice.
the mixture of it, I think, is great. But yes, that is me singing the theme song. And it was a lot of fun to put together.
Is it difficult to sing when it's not your actual voice?
No, well, I think the easy thing about playing the Nate role is it's so close to my actual
It's
voice. It's
close.
just a
Yeah.
little bit higher, right? So, like, if I just come up a little bit in my voice, suddenly I'm Nate. The Nate voice is not so much doing a different voice as it is doing a cadence. Everything is awesome. So, I don't think it's that I've certainly done tougher voices where it's really hard to sing. It's super high pitched. But yeah, the Nate voice is a really comfortable place for me and it's very sustainable, which I'm very grateful for.
Yeah, I just had Carla Gallo from Bones on, and she mentioned Sheriff Jerry during the interview.
Sheriff Jerry Bones.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really fun episode too. I've been, there's been a lot of really great single camera
Yeah.
drama shows that I've been brought in on to play the comedic element, which I really enjoy. So I've done that. Certainly my Bones episode was like that. I've done NCIS, House. There's a lot of more serious hour-long dramas where I've played some quirkier characters.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Is there a genre that you haven't done or haven't done as much as you would like?
I want to do a Western. I think it'd be really
Oh,
cool
you
to do
got
a
to do a
Western.
Western.
Yeah, I really want to do a Western. I want to like walk into a saloon and just get like blown apart. Yeah, a Western would be awesome. Something like film noir would be really cool.
Oh,
Really
yeah.
like intense genre stuff would be fun. And obviously, like I'm a fan of parody, so anything that comedically makes fun of those genres, count me in.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. So like if you were going to do a Western, what's a Western that you would want it to be kind of similar to? What kind of Western?
Oh man, that's a good question. I really like, like combining sci-fi with Western, like Westworld would be really cool.
Very nice.
Something like that would be really interesting to be involved in. Yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to see them try again with cowboys and aliens.
Yes, I agree. I think that is an excellent mixture that I can get behind for sure.
Yeah, because the comic, the graphic novel, really good, really good,
Yeah,
and the movie wasn't
yeah,
bad. I wonder if they did it now, if we could, make it even better.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Well, Ben, this has just been terrific. I really appreciate you coming on the show. I'm such a fan of yours, and now that I know, your parents are comic book store owners, I don't know, I may be bigger fans of theirs now.
Well, I'll take it, man. I appreciate it. It's been so much fun chatting with you. I appreciate the good mojo. I hope you enjoy Big Nate. And yeah, man, thanks for having me.
I'm going to unveil it with the grandkids. See what they
Excellent.
think.
They'll be the real judges of it.
That's the tell. If they sit still for a few minutes watching, then it's good.
Yeah, there we go.
If
I'll
they
take it.
immediately wander off, I don't know.
I'll take
I
it.
So Ben, a couple of things before you go. Outside of Big Nate, is there anything else you're working on that we can kind of keep an eye out for?
Yeah, certainly in development on a handful of things that I can't talk about yet. I have a new episode of Dangerverse coming out. I think actually on the same day that Big Nate comes out on February 17th. So be on the lookout for that on Nickelodeon. And I'm trying to think, certainly we're working on Back to the 2000s, which should be coming soon.
Exciting.
And then, yeah, everything else I'm working on, I can't really say yet.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, you wrote the superhero Showtime.
Yeah. We've written tons of music videos. That's been another one of our music videos
Yeah.
that we
Really
did in the
good.
sort of in the back to the 90s zones. So yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. You got to keep that up, because it's so good, and it's like funny, but it really does bring back that nostalgia,
I
of
appreciate it. Yeah.
those
I
better
love
days,
nostalgia.
let's say.
Yeah, amen to that. As I talk to you from my COVID isolation.
So the last thing, Ben, before you go, Where can we find you on all this social media that you're dominating?
Yeah, just search my name, Ben Giroux, Bengiroux. That's me on TikTok and Instagram. Certainly, you can find me if you search that name on YouTube and Facebook as well.
Terrific, terrific. So the new show is Big Nate, February 17th, Paramount.
Yes, sir. Paramount Plus. Sign up, check it out. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Okay, Ben, hold on 1 second. All right, so that was how talented is Ben Giroux? Unbelievable. Yeah, and a comic book guy. That kind of made my day. I could have spent an hour just talking about being a comic book store owner. That was terrific. He's so talented. If you haven't checked out his social media, definitely check that out. TikTok alone is worth it. It is hilarious. But YouTube content, he's everywhere. Check him out. He's so funny. Big Nate, if you've got kids, sit down and watch it with them. They're going to enjoy it. Really, really good. And of course, all the Danger Universe stuff that he does is just terrific and kid approved as well. So check that out. Really talented actor as well. I've enjoyed him every time he shows up on a series, NCIS, Bones, Psych, whatever it is. I know it's going to have a little bit of humor, and the acting just got better because he's so good. So really, really enjoyed that. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Big Nate, February 17th, Paramount Network. You can do us a favor, help us out on our social media. YouTube, MeisterCon Pod. We'll give you the video portion of our podcast. Please subscribe. That would be a huge help to us. You can find all 350 or so episodes that we have done, audio and video, on our website, meistercon.com. There's a terrific blog from Brett. He just posted about Star Wars canon. So it's geeky, it's fun, it's well written. You'll enjoy that. And if we're doing anything in studio, if we're going on location, if we're covering conventions, that'll be on there as well, meistercon.com. So check that out. Thank you guys so much. Definitely don't take you for granted. Talk to you next time. Bye, everybody.